Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Reckless Optimist podcast. My name is Megan. I'm a family nurse practitioner with a deep passion for mental health. On this show, we showcase guests who have shown tenacity, grit, mental strength, and who embody the word resilience. A quick disclaimer before we start. This show is not a substitute for mental diagnosis or treatment. We do recommend that if you're struggling with your own emotional well-being, you see a mental health provider. I'm so excited that you guys are here. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, I cannot wait for you to hear this episode with Lisa. She is an amazing person. You can feel her energy come through on this interview. She is a small business owner with a deep passion for mental health, and she is someone that has gone through a lot in her life, but has used redemption and gratitude to get through it. Her story is one of overcoming. She suffered from postpartum depression, and we do talk about that and the tools that helped her get out of that. She is also what is called an empath. She's someone that reads energy and feels people's energy. And we talk about, is that nature? Is that nurture? How does one become an empath? We also talk about overcoming and, having to kind of break yourself down in order to rebuild yourself back up. We also talk about her amazing relationship with her husband and how they have such respect for each other. And, she's also 3 years sober. So we do speak about that. She had an experience one day on a lake when she had drinking champagne and just had felt all of these, negative emotions and became very curious about, what alcohol was doing to her body. And we talk a lot about, our health and how alcohol impacts our health. I think you're absolutely going to love this episode, and I can't wait for you to hear it. Let's get into it. Hey, everyone. Help me welcome Lisa to the podcast.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I am so glad you're here. I found you through a mutual friend of mine, Nisha, who said she was your spiritual sister. So,
She is.
yes, I'm so thankful that you're on the show. We are so excited to talk to you and hear your story. So, we're going to start our episode out with a quote like we do every time. And
Okay.
I thought long and hard about what quote to use for this second episode. And one of my favorite quotes is a quote I actually heard in a book called Finding Ultra by Rich Roll. Are you familiar with him? Do you know who that is?
No, I don't.
So he's also a famous podcaster and an author and a triathlete, and he's sober actually, which is really cool. He was a lawyer, and his whole book talks about his experience with alcohol and sobriety and recovery. But at the end of his book, he talks about this quote by Henry David Thoreau. And for any literature majors out there, I know this is like paraphrasing from his book Walden. So I'm going to read it, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this quote.
I'm excited.
I live my life through quotes. So like
Same.
you do too.
Okay.
I know if I hear a good quote, I bank it in my brain and I think about it all the time. Like I ruminate on it.
Yes.
And that was one of these quotes for me. This quote stuck with me and I think about it often. And it's kind of a quote that like gives you chills down your spine. Okay, are you ready? Okay.
Let's hear it.
Most people lead lives of quiet desperation and die with their song still inside them. So what do you think about that quote? What does that make you feel?
I think there's a lot of people that forget that this is a one time in a lifetime opportunity just to be alive. I think we miss out on the little things because we're so caught up on the big things, on the things that are really insignificant. I like a quote that says, think about where you're at, and if in 5 years it matters, then continue to worry about it. But if it's not going to matter in 5 years, let it go in 5 minutes.
I love
So I
that.
I think it goes hand in hand with that. Let's stop worrying about stuff that we can't change, and let's live the minutes and the hours that we have, because they're going to be gone.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that advice. When I hear this quote, it makes me sad and it makes me happy. The
Yeah.
sad part is, obviously the song I think is metaphorical for your potential, like untapped
Hmm.
potential. I don't know about you, but when I get to the end of my life, I want to be completely spent with my potential. I want to make sure I
Sure.
lived the potential that I had and I don't have any left inside of me. But it's like, you really have to think about like what your talents are and like what you can offer the world. I know like I think a lot about like what legacy I want to leave behind. Do you have those thoughts too?
It's crazy that you asked me that. You're probably the first person to ever ask me, but something I think about all the time is my eulogy.
Mm,
Like, what are people going to say about me? But not because I care, what they're going to say about me, but what did I leave people feeling? Right? Like what impact did I leave in every individual that I got the opportunity to touch? So I think about my eulogy all the time. I think about the celebration of my life, not so much my death,
Mm-hmm.
but the celebration of my life and who's going to participate and what are they going to share,
Yeah.
with everybody else. What did you experience with me? And I think that's all you can take with you, the experience and the feelings that you leave behind through
Mm-hmm.
people that you're able to touch. And I
Yeah.
do think that people are in your life for phases, for situations, for experiences. That's why it's so important that you handle people with kindness and you handle people with gentleness, because you don't know what impact you're going to have on that individual based on their mental and emotional state. So, yes, to answer your question, I do think about that a lot. I don't want to leave anything hanging. And to that point, that's one of the reasons why I stopped fearing. I used to have a lot of fear of missing out on opportunities or missing out on goals or dreams that I had, when in all reality, I've always had the power to make those happen, to actually accomplish them. So now I'm in the mission of actually going through with them, and I know that my story's already been written. All I have to do is actually live it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Absolutely. It's funny, just to go off what you said, I had one of my geriatric patients gave me the best advice. He was like, honey, you can't die with pockets, meaning like you can't die with your money. You can't die with, whatever you have, like,
With your car, with
yeah,
your material stuff.
material
Girl,
stuff.
live
Yeah.
and live in the moment and
Mm-hmm.
leave nothing behind, leave no emotion behind. I had a friend that I was talking to, and she's like, we were talking about I was Netflix series to her, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a great series. And she says, I don't really like to sit down and watch a movie. Like I feel like I'm giving up my time. And I told her, well, yeah, that's cool. But let me ask you, why do you feel like that? And she's like, well, like I work a lot and I just feel like on the weekends, like that's all the time that I have. And I said, no, no, no. You feel like you're wasting those 2 hours or that 1 hour because you're not maximizing the time that you have during the week to actually feel alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have to search for your purpose, so that when you're actually practicing it and when you're actually working or showing up to whatever you're responsible for, that you don't feel like you're giving up your life, right? Because you literally are. Like if you're unhappy at a job or you're unhappy in a relationship, whatever, that in a partnership, you're giving up your life. You're not just, temporary there, or it's not time that you're going to be able to make up or get back. No. And that was my advice to her. And I said, you shouldn't feel like you can't, deposit or watch a series or a movie because that's precious time. Every minute is precious. Every hour is precious. Are you enjoying your life when you're showing up to work? Are you enjoying your life when you're going to the park? Everything, I mean, every minute should be enjoyed.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes me think of another quote: when your passion meets your purpose, that's your potential.
Oh,
And all
that's
of that
life.
goes back to this quote that we just talked about. So
Yeah,
I love that. I love how
for
you
sure.
you just like exuberate living in the present moment. I can feel it come through, and I love that. I think that's
Oh,
such a positive way to live, and so many people don't live. They either live in the future or the past constantly. So
well, that's what creates anxiety, right? Like worrying so much about tomorrow and what's going to happen tomorrow. What do I have planned for tomorrow? The only reason why I think about tomorrow is because I can't wait for tomorrow.
I love
But
that.
I'm living right now because I'm never going to get this day back.
Hmm.
So I want to be happy right now. I want my kids to see me happy right now. I want to have a good time with my husband right now, because I'm not going to go back to March 20th, 2025 ever again.
Yeah.
So I think that people should definitely be and live the moment. And if you're going to think about tomorrow, just be excited about tomorrow, because we don't always have that promised.
It sounds like you're talking a lot about gratitude. Like this is the whole concept of gratitude. Like
Hmm.
gratitude is like living your life with every moment being magical, and like how much more appreciation you have for life when you look at it that way. Is that something you
Right.
practice daily, is gratitude?
Yes. And I wasn't, I've always been bubbly, and I've always been very positive. I've always been very self-motivating, but I haven't always been fully happy, like fully, like, a lot of people will see me, oh my gosh, she's so extra. I am, but
Same.
I wasn't always in this state of mind. It took growth. It took experiences. It took hitting rock bottom mentally, emotionally, financially, however you want to put it. Like I had to touch the floor for me to get up and say, Where am I? Where do I want to be? What do I want to do? I think really, I think postpartum really taught me that we don't have control over a lot of our thoughts. We don't have control over a lot of our emotions, and that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
But while you can control it, do so, but also allow yourself to feel and be, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I discovered that living in gratitude and understanding that your life, again, your story is already written, it is up to you to make the best of it. And the way you move, the way you act, the way you treat others is going to shape your life in a much better way than you can actually plan for yourself, which is why I'm so grateful. I was setting up some dinosaurs for the Dunwoody Community Garden for absolutely free, right? My husband and I were setting them up, and the lady that invited us to do so, she was so grateful. And she's like, what can I do? Or why is it that you guys do this? And I told her, I said, sometimes I have imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I don't know how to repay the world and my God for everything that I have. But then I forget that I've earned it through tears, through work, through not giving up, and through continuing to try to be the best version of myself. Super flawed. You know, I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've learned from them. And I think redemption with gratitude
Mm-hmm.
is really the key to a stable mind in a controlled heart where you can feel like, okay, I'm headed the right direction. So yes, gratitude plays a big role. I remember when I was in my previous job, I was there for 12 years and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I started very young, and then I matured into the position and I took it very seriously, and I was working 60, 70 hours a week. But then there came a point where I was eating by myself in my car every single day because everybody else was either a team member or, I couldn't really mix that managerial team member relationship. So I kind of had to keep to myself. I was new to the state, so I didn't have friends, I didn't have family. And literally, it was like a 20-minute, 30-minute lunch and then go back into the office. And it was like this for 7 years. And I remember one time just sobbing in my car, and I called my best friend. By the way, I hate talking on the phone. I do that for a living.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm not at work, I don't want to talk on the phone.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to hug my kids. I want to eat fruit. Like I want to drive. I love driving with my husband. I want to listen to music.
Mm-hmm.
But this day I called my best friend and I was like, hey, I miss you. And I never really share. I try not to overshare with anybody. And I just told her, like, I think I'm homesick. But I wasn't homesick. I just wasn't happy. But you don't know how to identify that, right? Like, you just look for things to blame. So I remember I told her, like, I think I'm homesick. And then she's like, well, are you doing what makes you happy? And I thought I was. I really thought I was. Until I decided to take the leap of faith. And I think I'm a big, big believer that the risk that feels the scariest is the risk you have to take. So when you start feeling unhappy, it's time for a change. It's time to take a leap of faith. It's time to make that risk. You will find glory in discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And
Amen.
I remember thinking like, I don't want to retire eating by myself in my car. Like, I don't want to retire eating Pizza Hut and burgers because that's the quick lunch to grab, right? So I remember saying, okay, like, I'm going to take a leap of faith. I'm going to do something different, something I thought I wouldn't do. I left my home state to follow this position, to follow this role. And here I am leaving it,
Mm-hmm.
considering leaving it. It almost felt like I was betraying somebody, right? And in that sense of happiness, what starts happening is that you start forgetting about yourself, right? You start putting yourself in the back burner. When I'm saying yourself, I'm talking about what makes you happy, what moves you, what drives you, what creates that daily adrenaline that we all need in order to be our best selves.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, well, they need me, right? Like it, yeah, like I can't do that to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't do that to the employees. Like I can't do that to, like, that's the whole point. Like they opened up this region with me in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But did they?
Right.
Did they? So I had to get rid of all that guilt that we put on ourselves, especially our generation. We have this work mindset, like this workhorse mindset. I remember getting additional responsibility and thinking, oh my gosh, thank you,
Right? Work
right?
me harder. Yeah.
Like I'm so deserving of this
Mhm.
extra workload. Like thank
Thank you.
you so much. I, we would never ask, are we going to get a pay raise? Are we going to be compensated? Like what are the benefits of this new role or this new responsibility? No,
Hmm.
that wasn't us, right? And we were kind of raised to just follow through and don't ask too many questions and just do what is asked of you and actually do it better.
Yeah.
Do
I
it
can
better, right?
I can totally relate to that. I think every good decision I've ever made in my life was a huge risk. I was taking a huge risk, and those risks pay off. You have to get out of your
Yeah.
comfort zone. I love what you said there. I want you to take us back a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your childhood. Kind of give us the story of how you became this amazing modern day prophet that you are today.
Well, I had a beautiful childhood. I'm the youngest of three. My two older brothers are my biggest cheerleaders. I love them. They take care of me. They watch me from the far and they make sure that I'm always okay. They're the best uncles to my two sons, and they're my husband's best friends. So I had a really good childhood with growing up with them and just building adventures and building memories with them. My mom and dad, I always love to share because we think about when we think of our mom and dad, we think about, like boomers, right? Like now what's their mindset? But when I go back and I really think about what my mom and dad did for me, a lot of the confidence that I have was my dad whispering in my ear since I was very small, since I can remember, you're beautiful. You're a queen. Where is my doll? Where is, like, you're so pretty, you're so gorgeous, you're so smart. Look at the way you write. And I remember thinking about it and I'm thinking in the moment he's just telling me that because he loves me, right? But in my subconscious, I was actually believing it,
Hmm. Yeah. Positive
right? It was,
reinforcement.
oh my gosh, like I was actually believing it. And I don't think my dad understood what he was doing, but he was literally whispering in my ear confidence and just self-belief, right?
Hmm.
And my mom was not very affectionate. My mom is a great mom, but she was not very affectionate. My mom lost her mom very young, at the age of 18, and by the time my grandma passed away, she was already a grandma. So
Hmm.
she was not so much interested in my mom being so small. Like she was ready for grandkids, right? It was one of those large Hispanic families. So my mom didn't really, she learned how to be a mom and she learned how to grow up by herself. So I get it now, right? But during that time, she was not very affectionate and I wondered why, but she showed me love in different ways. I remember I would give her like a crazy idea and I would say, hey, mom. And I was like, I had big cheeks and I had braces and I had like curly hair. Girl was not cute. But I would tell my mom, Mom, I want to be in that beauty pageant that they're
Hmm.
having at the school. And she'd be like, okay. And she would grab her JC Penney credit card because she was a homemaker, so she didn't have like cash, but she had JC Penney credit card. And she'd be like, okay, Vente, let's go to the store. Let's go get you a dress. And because I had my dad's voice in my ear and I had my
Hmm.
mom's faith in me, girl, there's nothing I couldn't do. Like
Hmm.
until this day,
Yeah.
that's why my wings are so big and my spirit's so big. It takes a lot for you to break my spirit or for anything to break my spirit because I was so grounded and at the same time lifted by my parents.
I love
So that
that.
was that was my childhood.
That's such a good reminder for all of us who are parents, like to do those positive affirmations
Yeah.
for our kids. I'm a
Yeah.
positive affirmation girl. Like my love language is words of affirmation. So I definitely do that to my kids. But yeah, I mean, that's such a good reminder. Like hearing that and hearing how your parents were, it just warms my heart. So that's
Well,
awesome.
I left my house. I got married very young. I got married at the age of 22. I was so ready to get married. Like I met this boy when I was 12, or I saw him in a yearbook and I was like, I'm gonna marry this.
Your husband
My
now?
husband, yes.
Oh my God, what a
I
cute story. I love this.
I saw him in a yearbook and then I figured out he was my brother's best friend and I was like, ah. And then fast forward, I going to my freshman year in high school and then he's a junior and he finally talks to me. We start dating. 8 years later, we get married, and then 8 years later, we have our kids, where we start having kids. But my point there is that when I have this mindset that if I want it, I can get it, right? And I just have to work really hard for it. I have to be patient, and I have to believe that I am deserving of it. And I think I've done that throughout my entire life. But with my kids, I practice that too. I remember how it felt for my dad to praise me, or to remind me how unique I was, and how important I was, and how loved I was. And I try to do that for my children as well. So yeah, it's been a good ride. I think I think if I was reborn again and I got the opportunity, I would definitely raise my hand and ask, please give
Yeah.
me that life once again.
I love that. I have a few questions. The first is, were you born in Mexico or were you born in America? Where were you born?
I was born in Texas. I was born in El Paso, Texas, which is border right there to Mexico. So it would just take me 5 minutes and I was across the border, but that's where I was born. But my first language is Spanish because my mom doesn't speak any English. So at home, it was nothing but Spanish. And then growing up, or in school, it was nothing but English.
And your parents are from Mexico?
Yes, they were both
Yeah.
born in Mexico. My dad went to college to try to learn English. My dad is an entrepreneur, and my dad's also a workhorse. So a lot of my work ethic, I believe I got it from my dad. But yeah, they've been married for, I don't know, 50 years,
Were
a
your
long time.
were your older brothers born in Texas as well?
Yes, they were actually born. We're all 4 years. I'm sorry, 2 years apart. So my oldest brother is 4 years older than me, 2 years older than my medium brother, and I'm 2 years younger than my medium brother. Yeah.
Okay. And then you had mentioned earlier about postpartum. I would love to hear a little bit more about that. Did you have postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety? How was your experience?
So I've always been a germaphobe, and so with my first kid, I wanted nothing more than to be a mom. I wanted nothing more than to have the experience of having a baby, and I wanted to have my husband's baby. Like that's the boy I wanted to marry, and I wanted a boy. And I remember I was 14. I told my mom, I'm gonna have two sons. And when I found out he was a boy, I said, honey, I'm gonna give you your best friend. So I had a very different experience from my firstborn because I didn't know any better, right? It was nothing but joy, nothing but happiness. And I didn't care if I slept an hour or four. Like I was so happy. And when it came to my second son, we definitely planned it. I actually prayed for another boy because I wanted my son to have a best friend for him. It was my husband's best friend and then my little one's best friend. And it was just it's going to be perfect. Well, I got pregnant in 2019. And 2020 happened. We went into lockdown March
Mm,
of 2020, and I was due April 2020,
right in the middle, like beginning.
right
Yeah.
when it was all coming down, right? And so at that point, not even my gynecologist knew whether my husband was going to be able to be in the room or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that was crazy because again, we don't have at that point we didn't have any family, any friends that I could trust that, my mom wasn't going to be able to come. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
The pandemic itself was regarding germs, right? I was a big germaphobe already, so that didn't help.
Yeah.
My previous job was going through some changes, and they were trying to lay all my team members off, my managers, who to me, I had already started feeling a lot of gratitude and I had already started feeling a lot of appreciation. I will say this, I became a better person when I became a mom. Whoever doesn't know me from when my firstborn was born, you don't know me at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like that person that I was before my firstborn was born, I'm not her anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
may have her courage, her bravery, and her fearlessness, but this one, she cares. She's empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
She feels, and she stands up for what she believes in, and that
Mm-hmm.
that was not something that I had before. Going into 2020 and understanding that my previous job was trying to let people go, I resigned
Mm.
my previous job while I was pregnant.
Wow. Those are big life changes all happening at one time, and the world was
Yeah.
ending.
And the world was ending, girl. So like talk about my husband was like, why are you resigning? And I'm like, I'm trying to stand up for my people. They want to save money. They can save my salary. That's what they can save. So there was all these things happening. I ended up staying, um, and my son was born. Thankfully, everything was perfect. My husband was able to be there April 6th of 2020. But I also worried about my customers. I worried about my parents back at home. Is everybody wearing a mask? Are you staying home? Like I always worry about everybody else, but everybody else has a choice, right? But you just want to make sure everybody's okay. So all these things that I couldn't control were driving me bananas. And then your body changes, especially after 30, and then after your first, it changes as soon as you hit 30, and then as soon as you become a mom, and then as soon as you become a mom of more than one, your body completely changes. I remember I felt at my worst. I felt big. I completely lost myself physically. But at the same time, the world was ending, so I have to make sure my team is okay, my customers are okay, my baby is okay, my
Mm-hmm.
toddler's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Forget Lisa.
Yeah,
And
you lose your
yes,
identity in a way.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think motherhood is like the loneliest time in our lives, and a lot of people don't think about that being a lonely time, but it is. I mean, you lose your identity and you're isolated, especially during COVID. You're extremely isolated, you know.
Yeah, there was a lot of worry. Are we gonna have enough formula? Are we gonna have enough diapers? Are we gonna have like what's gonna are we gonna have enough groceries? What's gonna happen? And so it was a really tough time. I did get really depressed. I did get really anxious. I did get really worried. And then I had a really tough experience going into 2022. I kind of recuperated in 2020. I healed using, I healed with my community. Like I healed the way that, and even my husband has caught on to this. When my husband sees me a little blue or a little down, he says, "You want to go do something nice for somebody? You want to go donate? You want to go to the shelter? Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do that's going to give, that's going to make you feel better?" And so I really realized that in 2020 when I decided, you know what, I want to put some cheer and some joy out, and maybe that'll help me feel better. And we did. We started laying out the dinosaurs and putting out some positive messages. And all of a sudden, with people's reactions, I started feeling better. And so I
Hmm.
wanted to do it more. So when a lot of people thank me for the dinosaurs, thank you so much for what you do for the community. The secret is it's kind
It
of a
was to
little bit
help
for
you.
me.
Tell us more about the dinosaurs. Can you give us a little more about what you're doing in the community?
Oh my gosh. We were just talking about it. We've been doing it for about 5 years now. But during COVID and during my postpartum depression, I decided to use my kids, my toddlers' hobby and habit of dinosaurs and his infatuation for them, for the world to experience, for the community to experience it. Because even though we couldn't be together, maybe I could show you that I want you to be happy. And so we bought inflatable dinosaurs, we laid them on our yard, and we started adding positive messages, messages that I wanted to share and I wanted to spread, maybe stuff that I was feeling. Like mental health is so important. And March is Mental Health Awareness Month. Well, actually, it should be every single month, but that's the month that highlights it along with May, I believe. But with suicide prevention. So there was a month that I put Your Life Matters. But that was a reminder for me because during postpartum, you forget about yourself, and during that darkness, you forget about yourself. So laying out these dinosaurs have been nothing but a blessing. Seeing the people, seeing the community, the neighbors, and even people that are on the outskirts that have come to just see them, it's been really cool to see people react to something so positive and something that there's nothing expected out of it. It's for you. And if that message resonates with you, wonderful. And if it doesn't, it's okay. Maybe next time you come by and you see a message, that'll be for you. But I mean, there's no harm in using the dinosaurs or using the yard as a whiteboard
Hmm.
of joy. And it's been great. I live for that. I love that. And I pray that I get creative in doing something bigger with it. I don't know what I will do with it, but Right now, it's just a way to spread joy and a way to spread cheer and a way to remind everybody, I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're alive. And I am so happy that you get to see these wonderful dinosaurs that I laid out just for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to unpack there. One is like, it says a lot about your character that when you were in the darkest moments of your life, you were thinking about other people. Like, that is
Yeah.
a really unique person. The other thing I want to comment on, and this might sound a little existential, but I honestly think that that is the meaning of life. The service work and giving back to other people, like, that's why we're here on this earth. I
Hmm.
truly believe that is our purpose is to give back, and not only to give back, but also to connect. Like what you're talking about is you're connecting with other people. I think we think we're in this independent society, but we're really an interdependent society. And you're proof of that. So I absolutely love this story.
Well, thank you. It makes me tear up because it's true. And I've discovered that with my faith, 2020, when I healed in 2020 and I continue to do it and I continue to do it, I had a really dark time in 2022 for a few months that my husband used to have to peel me out of bed in 2022. And he would say, uh, come outside, come outside and look at the dinosaurs, or come outside and take a walk with me. Or, get up, what are you doing? And it took a while, and it would help. Like if the dinosaurs were not up, or if I wasn't, participating in something that would give back, I needed it. I remember getting closer to my faith in one of the first services that I went to when I decided to go back to church was that you were created to serve others. And when you serve with the intention of making a difference or making somebody's life or day better, you're literally serving as you would serve God. And that is my motto. Like every day that I wake up, I'm going to go and I'm going to serve as if I was serving God Himself. And I tell my girls the same thing. Like that is the way we can change the world. There's so much going on, but in all reality, the one thing you have to change, like Mother Teresa said, if you want to change the world, you got to start at home. And
Hmm.
when you go from your home, you go to your community, you go to your workplace, and then it creates a ripple effect, right?
Hmm.
Because people will think about, well, she was actually really nice to me, or wow, she actually reminded me that everything's going to be okay. And I get profound with my customers. I get deep, girl. Like if I get the opportunity to remind a customer, hey, you're doing a good job,
Yeah.
or you're amazing,
Yeah.
you're
I
so
love that.
admirable. I do that. I'm telling you, I am so extra. I need you to know you are a blessing in
Hmm.
somebody's life. And maybe that's all. I mean, I don't care if you don't buy a policy from me. If that's all you need to hear from me today, then that is, take that, please.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm the same way. I'm like at Starbucks, I'll be like, you have the most amazing nails, or I love
Yeah.
your smile, or like just like giving positive affirmations out like confetti. I also think what you're talking about too, it's so interesting. I think a lot of people are just on autopilot, right? You walk
Hmm.
into an elevator, everyone's just like, hi, how are you? Like very autopilot conversation. And it sounds like you're going deep. And that's what people probably crave. They're sick of autopilot people.
Yeah.
We want to talk about, deeper things and not just surface level conversation. I think that it's really cool that you've realized that. So that's awesome.
Hey, that's the way that you create relationships. Some of my best relationships have been created or have actually blossomed because of that deepness, because you end up connecting with the absolute best people. I can tell you right now that the people that surround me are some of the best people that I could ever have prayed for. Niche is a good example. I have a few friends that I have met in recent years, but at my mental and emotional highest, that I feel like those are gem friends. Like life was saving those friends for when I was ready for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you start shedding all these friendships that were not necessarily for you for your future. Maybe they served a purpose during a phase or during a time in your life, but that time has passed and it's expired and you're ready for the next level. So,
Yeah. I,
yeah, that's definitely how I move.
I love that. What you're talking about too is so interesting. Have you heard of the Harvard Happiness Study?
No, I haven't.
So
Share
it's
with
like a
me.
study that Harvard has done over, I think it's like 80 years, long time. But basically, this long-term study, what they discovered, they were trying to figure out like how are people happy later on in life? Like what is the secret? What is the number one thing that keeps people having a high quality of life as they get older? And can you take a guess what the number one thing was?
No, tell me.
It was connections with other people, having connections specifically around age 40 to 45, like strong relationships with other people, not your family, like friendships, strong
Yeah.
friendships that predicted a happiness later in life. So
Well, you know
interesting.
that it's so interesting because we don't see it like that, right? And we're missing out on opportunities. Well, when we go back to the autopilot that you mentioned, you're missing out on opportunities connecting with these people that are maybe they were meant to be in your life
Mm-hmm.
to shift it and
Mm-hmm.
improve it, but you're not giving them a chance. You're not walking around open to that. And it's scary because my husband always tells me, you're too friendly. You need to be careful. He's always like guarding me, right? He's like,
Huh?
people get the wrong, number one, sometimes people get the wrong idea, but that's not my fault.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's not my fault. I'm just trying to make sure you're okay. I'm just trying to make
Yes.
sure you're happy.
Are
But
you like one
yeah,
of those people, because I'm like this too, and I feel like we're probably very similar. Like when I walk in a room, I'm like like checking the scene, like is that person okay? Like are they happy? What happened to them in their childhood? Are you like that too, like an empath?
well, you're an empath. I was
Yeah.
about to say you're an empath.
Yeah.
So so let me tell you what the pros and cons are of that. So I feel like I can detect, when I walk into a room, energy speaks to me. I understand what's happening there. I understand if I belong in that room or not, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's patches of the room that I may be safe in, and there's patches in the room that I have no business in. And
Mm-hmm.
I get that. I've understood that. But I also understand how maybe like a war on the other side of the world will definitely ruin my weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember exactly the day that the war with Israel and the Hamas and the attack, all that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was October 7th. It was my dad's birthday, and we were having lunch. And as soon as I heard about it, I told my husband, I want to go home. And he's like, why? We were going to take the kids. I just want to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. It affected you that much.
He's like, turn off your phone. Turn off your phone. And I have this urgency of just going and either grieving or feeling what they're feeling because I understand it, to a certain extent. Obviously, I'm not there, but I think about the mothers, I think about the children, I think about the people that are actually going through that experience and what they were feeling in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
so I do worry about that very much so. So
Yeah.
that's another reason why I'm so active and things that I can actually control and things that I can actually change and impacts that I can actually make because that's all I have.
Mm-hmm.
So if I encounter a customer, I'll give you an example of a customer that I have that I just had a talk with my girls. I have this customer, well, I have many, but this particular customer, anytime he calls or he emails, I can feel the anxiety
Mm-hmm.
in his like it's an email and I can feel it. It
Mm.
weighs on us. Like
Coming through
it'll
the email. Yeah.
we will have like this amazing day and then we see the email come through and we're like, "Uh-oh." Right? And it's heavy, 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 heavy. Well, I started catching on to that and I thought, well, I'm going to send him some cookies. And the girls were like, "What?" I said, I'm going to send him some cookies because I'm going to get my ball of optimism and hope. And I'm going to contrast his anxiety and his worry and remind him that no matter how he's feeling, he's very much welcome here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very much appreciated here. And we'll take him as he is.
Yeah. I
That's
love
another
that.
thing. You don't want to change people. You just want to help people feel better. And that will make people be better.
Hmm. I
So,
think what connects all of us, all of humanity, is the need to feel loved and to feel
yeah.
not just loved, but to feel understood. And
Yes.
so I love that. I love the visual of like throwing the optimum ball,
Yes,
optimum
I'm like
ball
carrying
back.
like this atomic positive bomb and I'm like blasting it to
Yeah.
people
You're
as I
like,
go.
you know what you're like is Poppy the troll.
Yes. He's like, oh, the one that I got this feeling.
Branch. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's why
He's
you work
always
so well together, the yin and the
we
yang.
do.
Yeah.
We do. When we first started with the dinosaurs, I think to him it was a little bit of a chore because he's like, I we have to put up the dinosaurs. you should see how he sets them up now. And I told him this. I said, when you changed your mindset for it to be another duty, or I'm going to do this because I love her, and you started doing it for the same reasons that I wanted to do it, which was making a difference and impacting people and making that ride for that kid going to daycare a little lighter, is when we started getting even more props for them, like even more thank you cards. Like just the other day, I had a handwritten card with a gift card in it, and yeah, we're blessed. We don't need the money, and we can turn around and donate it and stuff like that. But people sometimes don't know how else to say thank you. And isn't that wonderful when you kind of like tap out the thank you, or the ways to show gratitude, that you're like, here, take money, like
Mm-hmm.
how else can I just enjoy them?
Yeah, I love
Just
that.
enjoy them, and be happy, even if it's just a little while you're here. But that's the best way to thank me.
Yeah.
Just let them serve their purpose in whatever way. Let my friendship, my relationship, my team, my space serve you in whatever way. I always tell everybody, use me as much as you can. If you have questions, or if you just need a reminder that anything and everything can be done, please use me as that. Because again, I've had my uphill battles. I've been on the floor, and I've had to go to therapy. Um, I stopped drinking alcohol. I wasn't in any way addicted to alcohol or dependent on alcohol, but it was a lifestyle, right? It was kind of like, oh, well, we're having a cookout. Let's buy some beer. Let's buy some Blue Moons. Let's buy some mojitos. It's part of the party, right? Part of
Mm-hmm.
the environment. I had an experience with alcohol that let me know, yeah, this is not for me. And it was more spiritual than anything. Remember that dark place that I told you that I was in 2022? I was really angry, really angry. And I forgot to be grateful. I forgot everything that God had given me. I forgot everything that I was surrounded with, my children, my husband, my home. I forgot about all the opportunities that had been laid out for me. And I was stuck in my anger. I was upset at life. I was miserable. And I think I needed to go through that. I definitely needed to go through that. But in that moment and in that darkness, I remember I even painted my nails black. That's how angry, like I didn't know how else to show whoever
Mm-hmm.
that I was angry, even though I remained human, right? And I would still perform and do whatever I needed to do emotionally and mentally. I was really angry. And I remember we went to the lake. We loved going to the lake. We rented a boat, and we were out with some friends. And I love champagne. I used to love champagne. And it was like sunny. It was super, super, super hot. It was a Memorial weekend, and it was like 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're like, oh, we should have some champagne with popsicles, something cute or whatever. And I was like, yeah, go ahead. And now I'm not a big drinker. I used to drink every so often, so I'm like, yeah, we hadn't had lunch or anything. So before I knew it, I was super, super, super over the top, right? And so I decided to lay on the boat. Now I'm under the sun, so it was all the wrong combinations. I hadn't had lunch, I hadn't had breakfast. I'm drinking super early. I'm drinking under the sun. Um, and then I'm drinking on a lake that doesn't necessarily have the best reputation when it comes to energy and spirits and stuff like that. I remember, Megan, being on the boat unhappy because it wasn't even like, how when you usually get a little tipsy or whatever, you're like, woohoo. I wasn't, because I was already angry. I was mentally and emotionally angry. And I remember laying on the boat, not okay, and still being angry. And I felt so sick. I got so sick that time in every way. And we went to go have a burger afterwards. I couldn't eat. I remember laying at home, and my husband was like, I got the kids, just, sleep. And I was laying in my bed, and I was still angry. I was drunk, but I was very well aware of how angry I was and how much I didn't want to feel that way. Like there was a subconscious, sober Lisa telling me, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to feel drunk, and I definitely don't want to feel angry. And I remember I couldn't sober up so that I could stop being angry. And And I don't know if it was the environment that I was in where I allowed myself, there's this belief that when you intake alcohol, you welcome spirits, you welcome bad energy, right? So I was in the perfect place to be attacked spiritually, energetically, in whatever way you want to put it. I was. I truly feel that I was. So when I was trying to sober up and I was trying to feel better, I couldn't. And I thought, man, I've just put myself in a position where I'm a prey, where I am vulnerable to all the things that I don't believe in. I don't believe in being angry. I don't believe in being ungrateful. I don't believe in being lost. So that day, which was October 2022, I said, I am never, ever drinking again. I am never exposing myself. I am never allowing anything or anyone to make me feel or allow me to feel a certain way that I don't deserve to feel, because that's not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave away, everybody that knows me knew I loved tequila, and I loved mojitos, and I loved champagne. So all the bottles that I had collected from gifts, that same weekend I gave them away. I got rid of every spirit that was in my home. And ever since, I haven't tried a single drop of alcohol, and I'm so proud of that, because even though I was not dependent on it, the fact that I can say, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't drink. And people will give me the side eye because I have been invited to drink, and people are like, "Hey, take a shot with us." And I'm like, "No, I don't drink." And it makes people feel a certain way, like, are you saying you're better than us?
Right.
No. I'm just saying that my body doesn't deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
My mind doesn't deserve that. My spirit doesn't deserve that. And I got this body once. God gave it to me, and the only thing he asks is that I take care of it. And that's the first way I can do so.
That's
So that is
awesome. I
that
love
is my
that.
story with
I
So
love
it's
that
a
so
little
much.
dark, but it gets brighter.
No, I think it's beautiful. As you know, I'm someone in recovery as well,
Yeah.
6 years sober next month. And, everyone has to come to their own terms in terms of their relationship with
Mm-hmm.
alcohol. And some people have no issue with alcohol at all. They can, have one or two beers, but there's such a spectrum of alcohol use, right? I mean, and I think it's so beautiful for people to see your experience. Like, you weren't out there getting wasted, driving drunk, whatever. Your relationship with alcohol ended just because you realized it was making you feel bad. Like, you didn't have to have these big external consequences to quit drinking. You were able to quit way before any of that would have ever happened.
It was weird because I would have my drinking partner was my husband. Although my husband doesn't drink, he's never drank in his life,
Wow.
ever. So he's always been my designated driver. He's always taking very good care of me. And he always said, "You're such a fun drunk." Because I'm already a happy person. So getting drunk would only make me happier. Like, I was dancing, I was singing, until I was not in a good state of mind or in a good emotional state, where that can turn dark real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to you whether you see those signs or you see those clues and you make some changes. Because that's the thing about life, and that's the thing about faith, and that's the thing about energy. You get signs. You understand, or let me rephrase that. You are being told and you are being warned. It's up to you to understand what to
Mm-hmm.
do with that information, right?
Yeah.
And signs come in all shapes and colors. It can be an experience, it can be a person, right? It can be a thought, it can be a prayer, it can come in so many. You just have to pay attention, which is why another reason I don't want to drink, because I want my antennas to stay up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be vigilant, and all the signs that are coming my way. The other day I had a real cool experience. It was a day where I had a lot happening at once, and I was like, "What is happening?" I even texted Nisha. I was like, "Is it a full moon? Like, what's going on?"
Is
Right?
Mercury in retrograde?
And she was like, "Actually, yes, there was a."
She would know. Nisha
I
would
love
know.
her. She's like my moon forecaster, and so I remember turning on a candle, and it's more your mindset than anything else. Right? And I remember turning on a candle, and I remember thinking, God, keep us safe, keep us positive, and help us have a good day. And I turned on the candle and I laid it on my lobby, and I went over to help one of my girls with a customer that she had. And we left the door open, and a customer, there was a brand new customer that walks in, and he walks in, he's a huge guy, and And he just walks in. He's super formal. He's like super professional. And he walks in and I'm like, hi, can I help you? And then he's like, yeah, I need an agent. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, we're all busy with customers. I said, I'll be right with you. And I walk over to him and he says, I said, I'm sorry, we were helping customers. What can I do for you today? And he's like, I'm looking for an agent. I said, my name's Lisa Torres. I'll be happy to take care of you. And he's like, you know what? I have all these items I need you to insure. Here are my proof of insurance. See what you can do for me. Call me when you have my quotes. Do you know how rare that is? You know, usually customers don't walk in with like all their proof of insurance and it's like 10 plus products and say, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
So what I attributed that to was the belief that you can shape your day, that you can decide how your day goes, and you can decide what's around me is going to affect me, or I will affect what's around me. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that that customer showed up right after my prayer, right after my welcoming of better energy, a welcoming of a better day, is proof that you need to be aware of what's
Mm-hmm.
happening around you so you can demand the type of day, the type of week, the type of month, the type of life you want for yourself.
I love that. I think that like when we get to the end of our life, like it would absolutely devastate me if I missed experiences. And, you
Yes.
know, I think Annie Grace, I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's an author that wrote a book about alcohol. It's called This Naked Mind. And she talks about how alcohol homogenizes every situation. So it makes everything the same. And when you're sober, everything is very different, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing, like you were talking about, all of the different energies coming in, your radar, your antennas up. But when you're drunk, chemically in the brain, you're literally having the same chemical reaction at a football game or a movie. And so your life is homogenized. It's all the same when you're drinking. And it's like you're on this like hamster wheel of like the same
Yeah.
thing over and over. But when you're sober or, you know, someone that doesn't drink, you're having all of these amazing different experiences. And I love that.
Well, the way your body changes too, right? Your body will reward you for good behavior. Like
Absolutely.
your body will thank you for anything you do differently, whether it be a supplement, whether it be exercise, whether it be a bad habit that you drop. Your body will say thank you in its own way, whether it be with glowing skin, or it'd be with more awareness of what's happening around you, or it'd be with a muscle here or there. Like there's your body speaks to you in different ways. So what you do with your body is so important, and then that also contributes to what it does to your mind. Because if you feel good, your mind's gonna pick that up and it's gonna say, okay, let's keep doing that.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I have one more question before we go into the rapid fire round,
Okay.
just because I'm curious what your answer is to this question. Do you think, as an empath yourself, do you think that's nature or nurture? Do you think people are born empaths, or is that something that happened to you environmentally that made you become an empath?
I do think it's environmental. I do think we are expected to feel and we are expected to sympathize as animals, as mammals, right? That is in our character, that is in our DNA. But I also think that in order for you to act on it, it's based on environment. Because I'm telling you, there's a Lisa before my kids were born, and there's a Lisa after.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents there.
Do you feel like you became more of an empath after you had children?
Yes,
Yeah.
I feel like I understood life a lot more. And I think it doesn't happen to everybody upon motherhood. I think it has to happen like in a life-changing situation. You choose it, you pick it. But for me, it happened when I had children because I remember some of the wrong decisions that I made or some of the things that I wish I could have done differently, but I didn't know any better. I was expected to behave a certain way. I was expected to do things a certain way. When my kids were born, it was like something shifted. It was like something told me, hey, we can't go back and change some of the things that we said or some of the things that we did, but we can certainly shape a better future so that every person that you touch feels the better person you are today, which is why I think redemption and gratitude go hand in hand. Because I can't go back and maybe, you know, treat an employee better than I did, 12 years ago. But I can make sure the ones that I have right now have the best boss that they could have prayed for, that they have an environment that they deserve. So that's what I'm working on. Redemption and gratitude, and part of being an empath is super, super helpful. And it's happened with time.
Yeah, I love that. I haven't heard that before, redemption and gratitude together, and it's just beautiful. It's
Yes,
beautiful, a beautiful
it is.
relationship. Okay, Lisa, you have been amazing. We are going to close out with a lightning round of
Okay,
questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I
Nervous but ready.
I don't have the music yet, but I need like a dun 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 right here. Okay, first question. You're given three options. Would you shark dive, bungee jump, or skydive? You have to pick one.
A bungee jump.
Okay. Have you ever done it before?
Yes.
Was it the scariest thing ever?
Yes.
Would you do it again? Yes, you would do it again.
No. Well, no, but if I only have those three options,
You
since
would.
I've already experienced that,
Yeah,
I'll be fine.
that's awesome. Okay, question number two. You're in a simulation, and every time you walk in the room, the same song plays every time. What song is that?
Brandon Lake gratitude.
I love that song. I love him. That's
I
a
love him
great
too.
one. I love
Yes.
that. Okay, third question. What is your favorite Disney movie?
Aladdin.
Good one. I love that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the movie where Arlo comes out, which is a dinosaur, the good dinosaur.
Huh?
That's a
That was so
fantastic
sad.
movie.
It's
It's a
so
very sad
sad.
movie. But
It's like the,
Aladdin,
yeah.
I remember I had the backpack, girl. I was in
Mm-hmm.
first grade, and that's the first backpack that I remember. And I loved Jasmine. I just thought she was so stunning, but I
So
also loved the
beautiful.
music,
The
and then I loved
music.
the genie.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more I understood Robin Williams, the more
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated the movie. So yes, Aladdin.
Yeah. Great soundtrack. Okay, number four. What is something you're obsessed with?
My husband.
Oh my God, that's so sweet. I
My
love
husband
that.
is the one boy I fell in love with, the boy that I always wanted to marry, and the boy that I have today. And I pray to the Lord that I can continue to make him happy. So yes.
It comes through. Your relationship and your love for your husband comes through. And it's funny, I was talking about this with the friend the other day. I was like, I think some people actually meet their soulmate. Not everyone does. And there actually might be multiple soulmates that can fit for one person, but like you can tell that you have met yours for
Oh
sure.
my gosh, yes. I remember I told my mom at the age of 14, I'm going to marry that boy. I'm going to marry that guy. And I had to be patient. I had to be patient, but it's paid off so much. And I listen to him and I see him see me. The things that he does for me, he's a little more quiet than I am. He's a little more reserved than I am, but I pay attention to his behavior and I love him even more because I know a lot of what he does. He just does it because he loves me, and yeah, so I'm very, very blessed.
I feel like the thing that you guys have is you have respect for each other, but then you
Yes.
also like balance, like the whole yin and yang of it all. Like you balance, like you're high energy and he's calm and you balance each other out. So,
Yes, we talk about that all the time because sometimes my kids are a lot like me, like especially my oldest. He's a big snuggler, like he's a big hugger, and he's a big. So sometimes I'm like,
mhm,
like I've had enough. And
right.
my husband looks at me and he's like, "You see, this is why you need me in your life because I would be too much if I was like them because I would always say like, hi, honey, like it's okay to hug me, it's okay to like smother me, it's okay." And he'd be like, "No, you get tired of me." And
Yeah.
he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He knows me too well.
Okay. The very last question. I love this question. What does freedom mean to you?
Living, being able to live. I remember being in my old job, in my old position, and having to show up and having to be and having to report and believing that I was expected to do stuff that I wasn't being asked to do, but I thought I expected that. When I left, and I shared this with Nisha and a group of friends. I remember when my firstborn was born, I had a scheduled C-section. I took my laptop with me to the hospital. I pulled it out as soon as they took me to the recovery room, and I was working. And nobody told me I had to do that. So it would be unfair for me to say, "Oh, they treated me like crap," or "they expected this from me," or "they didn't give me time with my son." That's not true. That's something that I decided I needed to do or that I thought I needed to do. When I left that job and I understood, wow, like I can go grab a cup of coffee. I can go see my kids have a play. I can feel and be exactly who I am, and that's okay. Like I can use my personality with my customers. I don't have to wear a blazer. I don't have to dress and be and speak a certain way. I understood the privilege of being alive, the privilege of living.
Hmm.
And that's freedom. If you get to be exactly who you are and you get to live and feel exactly how you want to feel and live exactly how you want to live, you are free. And you should totally appreciate that.
Very well said. Extremely well said. What a perfect way to end this amazing episode. I can't thank you enough. I mean, the things that you're doing, in Dunwoody with the positive affirmations, the dinosaurs, just even the energy you're putting out into the world. Like, we need more people like you. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your message, and inspiring other people.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. And believe it or not, I do sometimes see that maybe not everybody agrees or celebrates who I am. And I just want to remind everybody that it's okay. It's okay to not be loved or liked by everybody. As long as you like and love yourself, and as long as you're doing your very, very, very best to put the best version of yourself out there, nothing or no one else matters. So thank you for having me on. This was
Yes,
so much fun. I appreciate
absolutely.
you.
Absolutely. All right, girl. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Take
Bye.
care.
Okay,